Hello, beautiful Libra. Let me ask you something powerful right up front. What if the biggest financial breakthrough of your year is already approaching you quietly and the only thing the universe asks in return is your silence? This isn't a metaphor. It's a moment. And today's reading was made for you. Here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, this is not just another horoscope. This is a sacred message aligned with a rare energetic window between December 13th and the end of this month, a time when the fabric of reality shifts in your favor, but only if you stay grounded, receptive, and still. So if you've been feeling a strange stirring in your chest, a subtle shift in your dreams, or a quiet pull toward change you can't explain, you're not imagining it. You're not crazy. You're being spiritually summoned. Not everyone feels it, Libra. But you do, and that's what makes you different. That's what makes you ready. The energy unfolding now is not about hustle or proof. It's about resonance. There is a financial blessing approaching, and the more still you become, the louder your energy speaks. This is why the High Priestess has entered your field, not to keep you passive, but to guide you into the sacred power of keeping your wealth private before it blooms. Libra, this reading is your confirmation. The spiritual infrastructure of your life is being rewritten in silence. And like a river building behind a dam, the moment of release is near. But if you speak too soon, if you seek outside validation for what was meant to be kept in sacred gestation, you could slow what is already divinely in motion. That's why this video is so important and why you need to stay with me until the end. Because what I'm about to share with you may not just explain what's happening. It may change how you receive it. But first, let me say something from my heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For every like, every comment, every subscriber, every soul who presses play on this channel, you are the reason this community thrives. Your energy is part of a collective healing. And your presence tells me you're not just watching this video. You're activating something. So before we go further, I invite you to anchor this energy by writing a sacred agreement in the comments. I am ready to receive in silence. 8.88 inch, or share your own angel number 44, 222, 1111, whatever's been appearing around you. This isn't just about engagement. It's an act of alignment. A ritual of readiness. A sign to the universe. I'm listening. I'm open. I'm becoming. And Libra, if you've ever wondered whether the universe truly sees you, not just your outer self, but the inner one who carries silent hope and sacred dreams, this is your answer. You are not invisible. You are not waiting in vain. A miracle is approaching. Now breathe. And stay with me. Because what's about to be revealed is something you do not want to miss. There are moments in life when the loudest thing we can do is remain silent. And Libra, right now, you're entering one of those sacred seasons. Not because you're being tested, and not because you need to prove anything, but because you're being invited. Invited to trust the unseen, to hold space for what is forming quietly beneath the surface, and to allow prosperity to take root in stillness rather than performance. The High Priestess doesn't just arrive when we're supposed to wait. She appears when we are ready to listen on a deeper level. Her message isn't about passivity, it's about power. A different kind of power. The kind that lives in restraint, in knowing when to hold rather than push. When this card shows up in your energy field, it's often a sign that you already know what's coming. Even if your mind hasn't fully caught up, your intuition has been preparing for this all along. This is why the next few weeks from the 13th to the end of the month aren't just a stretch of time. They are what I call a threshold. A sacred doorway of alignment where your energy, your intentions, and your inner steadiness are what shape the outcome, not your outer efforts or the volume of your words. You don't need to announce your blessings prematurely. In fact, doing so could disrupt the natural rhythm that's finally coming into place. Silence is not avoidance. It's reverence. Choosing to stay silent during a divine process doesn't mean you're uncertain, it means you're wise. There are certain forms of abundance that only arrive when the soul is calm enough to receive them. When you are no longer leaking energy through explanation or justification. When your life becomes a container for quiet confidence. I've seen it over and over again, in both personal experience and the lives of those I guide. A woman once told me she stopped sharing her goals out loud and instead started journaling them in a private notebook each night. She would sit for just 5 minutes in complete silence and imagine herself already living in the outcome. Within weeks, things began to shift. An unexpected job offer. A bank error that was corrected in her favor. A relative she hadn't spoken to in years reached out with financial support. None of it came because she declared her needs loudly. All of it came because she aligned herself deeply. And that's what I want you to understand, Libra. You are not missing out by keeping things to yourself right now. You are nurturing something sacred. Something that doesn't need to be explained before it's ready. And this isn't just energetic theory. This is also how your mind and body respond to receptivity. When you slow down, when you trust, your nervous system relaxes. Your cortisol lowers. Your creativity rises. You're not only spiritually preparing, physically becoming a vessel for what's meant to flow in. Even in scripture, there's a wisdom to keeping things between you and the divine until the time is right. You don't need a platform to validate your desires. You only need to believe they are valid. And sometimes, the most powerful declaration is whispered within the stillness of your own heart. So I encourage you now to take a quiet action. Write down a financial desire you haven't shared with anyone. Tuck it somewhere safe. Let that be your prayer, not through pleading, but through preparation. Tell the universe through your energy, I'm ready. I trust you. I'll wait in grace. Because the truth is, Libra, wealth responds to quiet readiness far more than it ever did to desperation. And you, more than anyone, know how to carry elegance in silence. When Venus, the ruler of Libra, moves into a harmonious trine with Jupiter, something rare begins to stir in your energy field. This isn't just an astrological alignment, it's a divine recalibration. Venus speaks to your values, your relationships, your ability to receive beauty, comfort, and grace. Jupiter, on the other hand, governs expansion, wisdom, and delayed but well-deserved rewards. When these two planets speak to each other in this way, they don't just whisper blessings, they deliver them in ways that feel fated. And yet, the delivery doesn't always look like lightning bolts or lottery wins. More often, it comes quietly, like a long-lost letter arriving when you've stopped checking the mailbox. It shows up as the refund you forgot you were owed, the debt someone finally decides to repay, or the opportunity that once slipped through your fingers. Suddenly circling back when you're no longer chasing. This is not coincidence. This is divine timing that honors your growth. But here's where your awareness matters. Mercury retrograde is also active during this time, which brings in a different layer of energy, one that requires introspection and revision. It encourages you to pause and ask, where am I still leaking energy? Who am I still financially entangled with out of guilt, not alignment? This isn't a call to fear, but a nudge toward clarity. When Mercury retraces its steps, it invites you to do the same with your boundaries, with your spending, with your sense of worth. There may be people, situations, or even outdated beliefs that are silently draining your abundance. And now is the time to name them, not aloud, but within. The cosmic energy is supporting you in severing ties with lack-based patterns, with energetic cords that have kept your financial flow tangled. Ask yourself gently, is someone benefiting from your hesitation to receive fully? Has someone planted doubt in your dreams while pretending to cheer you on? Sometimes, the people who say the least are the ones wishing for your failure the most, and your intuition already knows who they are. That's why this season asks for sacred discretion. Hold your plans a little closer. Let your dreams incubate in silence, not secrecy but safety. When you plant a seed, you don't expose it to every hand that passes by. You place it in soil, water it quietly, and allow time and light to do their work. Your financial breakthroughs deserve that same level of respect. And if you've been seeing repeating numbers like 888, 44, or 222, know that these are not coincidences, theory confirmations. These numbers carry frequency. They're signs that your energy is aligning with divine flow. 888 brings the vibration of financial momentum and wealth consciousness. 44 is a grounding force, reminding you that protection is around you and that your spiritual team is building a sturdy foundation beneath your feet. 222 signals support, balance, and unseen forces quietly bringing things together on your behalf. Take note of them. Acknowledge them as guideposts on your path. I often remind those I work with, God moves through alignment, not noise. In a world obsessed with visibility, don't underestimate the power of the quiet shift. There is so much grace in preparing silently. So, instead of rushing to announce or share, tend to your field. Review your finances. Rework your goals. Renew your agreements with yourself. You are not behind, you are being asked to move with purpose, not pressure. Remember, a late blessing is never a missed night, is a matured one. And yours is arriving exactly when you're strong enough to hold it. Let this be the time you choose deliberate quiet over public declaration. Let this be the season you align inwardly so that abundance can align outwardly. There's a moment in every journey when you stop asking if you're worthy and start acting like you've always been. That's the energy the Empress brings. When she enters your reading, especially during a cycle of financial shift like the one Libra is moving through now, it's not to tell you that something is coming. It's to remind you that it's already within you, and now, it's time to align with it. Unlike many archetypes that focus on striving, proving, or pushing, the Empress invites you into a different posture entirely, receiving. She doesn't chase wealth. She magnetizes it. And not through effort or persuasion but through presence, embodiment, and trust. She understands that abundance doesn't flow because you demand it. It flows because your energy becomes a safe and worthy space for it to land. The very essence of her frequency is, I do not beg. I attract. In astrology, This relates to the Venusian archetype connected to Libra's ruling planet, where prosperity is born through beauty, balance, and aligned self-worth. In energy healing, it's the shift from hustle vibration to receptive frequency. From scarcity-driven effort to magnetic calm. And in the practice of real-life transformation, it looks like this. You stop speaking as if money is far away, and start moving as if it's already circling your field. You start choosing what nourishes your spirit instead of what proves your productivity. You begin creating because you are abundance, not because you're trying to earn it. One of the most radical acts in a world that glorifies pressure is to pause. To listen. To receive. It takes courage to believe that your enoughness is enough. And yet, that's exactly what creates the energetic conditions for wealth to flow. I once worked with a client who, after years of struggling financially, stopped chasing opportunities and began focusing inward. She didn't stop working, but she shifted how she worked. She lit candles before checking her bank account. She began wearing colors that made her feel wealthy even before her reality caught up. She affirmed her value not just with words, but through boundaries, rest, and beauty. Within a few months, her income increased. But more than that, her nervous system softened. She became peaceful. And the peace, in the end, was the abundance. You see, Libra, the Empress doesn't bring you gifts in exchange for proof. She brings them when you embody readiness. When your actions say, I know who I am. I honor what I carry. I trust what's mine will find me. It's not a concept. It's a frequency shift. And it's a daily practice. What would shift today if you truly believed you didn't have to beg for what's next? From a spiritual perspective, this is what we might call divine favor. Not earned through noise, but invited through trust. There are countless stories, some quiet, some dramatic, of people who let go, realigned, and suddenly watched their lives change. Sometimes it's a phone call. Other times, it's a subtle internal pivot. But the result is always the same, the flow returns. And it often arrives not because they tried harder, but because they finally stopped trying to control the timing, the how, or the who. So today, your invitation is this: how would you walk, talk, and move if your financial blessing was already guaranteed? How would you sit with your own power if you knew nothing and no one could take what was meant for you? Don't underestimate the grace that comes from simply trusting your worth. Let the world spin. Let others chase. You are the Empress now. And that means, Libra, you don't have to run toward wealth. It's already on its way. Just make sure the door is open. Some of the most powerful messages the universe delivers arrive not in the form of thunder but in the quiet repetition of signs, gentle nudges that whisper, keep going, you're not alone. For many Libras right now, those whispers are coming in the form of numbers. Sequences that seem to follow you from receipts to timestamps, license plates to dreams. And while others might dismiss them as coincidence, you, Libra, already know better. You feel the rhythm in them. You sense the alignment. Because energy doesn't lie, it simply repeats itself until we're ready to listen. The appearance of numbers like 888, 44, and 222 in your orbit isn't random. These aren't just numbers. They're energetic markers. 888 speaks directly to your finance and activation of abundance, the return of cycles long paused, and the reawakening of provision that was always meant for you. It's not just about receiving money, it's about being ready to hold it, manage it, and honor it from a higher frequency. Seeing 888 repeatedly is like hearing a spiritual echo that says, "You've stepped into the right room." Meanwhile, 44 holds a different kind of weight. It's protective, foundational, like spiritual scaffolding around everything you're building. When this number comes through, it's often a sign that unseen forces are reinforcing your boundaries, guarding your energy, and quietly shielding your progress even when you don't yet see the results. Think of it as invisible hands making sure your steps don't slip while you're walking up. Then there's 222. Its softness carries a kind of sacred reassurance. This number isn't about results, it's about reminders. You are not doing this alone. You are supported, guided, held. You may not see the full team behind you, but they are there, working behind the veil, synchronizing outcomes, and orchestrating perfect timing. Sometimes it takes seeing 222 just once in a hard moment to remember, the delay is not the denial, it's preparation. I often encourage my clients, especially those going through financial or emotional transitions, to begin every morning with a list of 10 things they're grateful for, including blessings that haven't arrived yet. Why? Because gratitude is one of the fastest ways to tune your frequency to receive. When you give thanks for things unseen, you're not lying to yourself, you're realigning yourself. You're not forcing a miracle, you're preparing a seat for it. This practice doesn't just change your mood, it changes your magnetism. One of the most moving stories I've heard came from a woman whose energy was pure Libra, soft yet strong, hopeful yet grounded. Every night, she wrote one quiet prayer in her journal. No one knew. No one saw. She simply wrote, "I am open to divine support. I trust in quiet miracles." 21 days later, she received news of an inheritance from a distant relative she didn't even remember. It wasn't luck. It wasn't loud. It was alignment. A direct response not to her voice, but to her faith. And this is what I want to gently remind you today: your belief carries voltage. Even in silence, even when no one applauds or notices your effort, your consistency is wiring the energy field around you for transformation. Just like in the scriptures, where unseen prayers are answered openly, your quiet actions, your gratitude, your vision, your restraint are not being ignored. They are being honored. So the next time you see a number and feel that tiny rush in your chest, don't brush it off. Pause. Feel it. Write it down. Anchor the moment. Because these numbers are not coincidences, they're coordinates. Proof that you are exactly where you need to be. And closer than you think to everything you've been preparing for. Sometimes, the most transformational work happens in the quietest places. And Libra, right now, your strength is not in what you can show but in what you can sustain without needing to be seen. This season of your journey is not asking you to explain, prove, or perform. It's asking you to commit to small, sacred choices that others may never notice but the universe always does. These unseen actions, these quiet rituals of discipline and belief are reshaping your relationship with abundance at a cellular level. You don't need to pull the seed out of the ground every morning to check if it's growing. In fact, doing so would harm what's unfolding beneath the surface. Similarly, your manifestations, your goals, your financial dreams, they are already responding to your energy. But they need time. They need stillness. They need you to stop doubting their arrival just because you haven't seen the sprout yet. The work now is to protect your energy, not perform it. And that means becoming intentional about what you allow, what you absorb, and how you move. Writing your affirmations each morning may seem like a small thing, but it is an energetic anchor. It declares to the field around you, I'm steady. I'm ready. Taking a deep breath before sending that important email? That's not overcautious, it's magnetic. It says, I value alignment more than urgency. Keeping your home environment clean and clear, especially around your workspace or bedroom, supports the flow of grounded energy. Everything is frequency. Everything is communication. And your environment speaks just as loudly as your words. This is how wealth moves through discipline, not just desire. And that's where your daily rituals, no matter how subtle, carry exponential power. In terms of health, start with the nervous system. Too much caffeine disrupts your ability to receive because it keeps the body in fight or flight. Try replacing it with magnesium-rich foods or supplements, and consider ending your night with slow breathing practices instead of screen time. This helps your body regulate so it can stay open to intuitive insight and energetic balance. In your career, resist the temptation to look busy. Busyness is not the same as progress. Don't spread your energy thin trying to impress or prove. Move strategically, in silence. Protect your ideas until they are ready. There is strength in restraint. There is genius in focus. And there is magic in giving yourself permission to move differently than the world expects. In love, know that this is a time to honor space, your own and others. You don't need to disclose every detail of your financial plans or dreams to your partner right now. Not because you're hiding, but because your vision is still tender, still forming. Hold it close. Let it grow stronger in the dark before it blooms in the light. Financially, avoid emotional spending. Before making large purchases, take a moment to breathe and ask yourself, am I filling a void or fulfilling a value? Write down your spending patterns. Bless every transaction with intention. This turns money into a spiritual tool rather than a source of anxiety. It also builds trust between you and your future self, the one who already knows how to handle more. I've seen real change happen through the tiniest acts. A woman once told me that instead of hustling harder, she decided to sit quietly for 5 minutes each morning, placing her hand over her heart and affirming, I am already aligned with everything I need. 3 weeks later, she was offered a role she didn't apply for. A divine placement. A reward for the work no one else saw. This is what makes your quiet choices so powerful. They may not be loud, but they are deliberate. They may not be public, but they are potent. And every time you choose presence over pressure, alignment over approval, intention over impulse, you are building a future rooted in stability, sovereignty, and grace. Let the world chase. You, Libra, are planting something far more enduring. Libra, you don't have to shout to be heard anymore. You don't have to prove your worth to deserve what's already written in the stars for you. The truth is, you've already been chosen. Your frequency has already been felt. The door is opening not because you forced it, but because your soul was aligned with its timing. This isn't about manifesting through noise. It's about preparing in stillness. And the way you've been showing up quietly, consistently, faithfully, that's what speaks the loudest now. So take a deep breath and let yourself soften into that knowing. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are not lacking anything. You are being led into something that requires you to slow down, to tune in, and to trust that the blessing on its way to you is not fragile, it is precise. It knows exactly where to find you. And it will not miss you. Maybe no one else sees the shifts you're making right now. Maybe your healing, your growth, your vision building is happening behind closed doors. But that doesn't make it less powerful. In fact, that's exactly what makes it sacred. The actions you take when no one is watching, those are the actions that rewrite your future. That's where the miracle starts. So let me ask you gently. What would you do today if you truly believed you were already worthy of what you're calling in? How would you move differently if you knew that money, love, opportunity, and peace were already making their way to you right now, guided by divine alignment? Would you speak differently? Would you act with more intention? Would you finally allow yourself to receive without guilt? This is your invitation to start doing just that. Not tomorrow. Not when everything is perfect. But today. Right now. In silence, in softness, in power. And if any part of this message stirred something in you, I invite you to anchor it into your energy field by writing it in the comments. Let it be your quiet declaration to the universe: I am ready to receive in silence. 8.88 inch, or simply, I choose to remain silent and become a magnet for miracles. There's something transformative about putting your intention into words even if no one else understands it but you. That simple act of writing is energy in motion. It's alignment made visible. It's how you say, I believe, even if I can't see it yet. And if someone came to your heart while you were watching this, someone who might need a reminder that they, too, are worthy of quiet miracles, share this message with them. Sometimes the most life-changing breakthroughs begin with one whispered sentence, one unseen seed, or one unexpected video that arrives exactly when it's needed. Thank you, truly, for being here today. For your presence, your energy, your openness. Every like, every comment, every subscription is not just support, it's connection. It helps this message reach the hearts that need it. It helps this community of seekers and receivers grow. You are not alone on this path, Libra. You are walking with wisdom, surrounded by guidance, and held by something bigger than fear. And here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we will continue walking with you through the quiet, through the unfolding, and into the abundance you've already begun preparing for. So, stay grounded. Stay open. Stay in your quiet power. Because sometimes, miracles don't knock. They arrive when they know you're ready.